Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations for New Comic Book Day. Yay! And it's just the two of us, so we'll have a pick each, and then we have a consensus pick also. So, let's get started with your pick.
Yeah, so my pick is Moon Knight 25, kind of the big milestone issue for the current run by Jed MacKay here. So for the last couple of issues, the main arc of the series has been that someone has been trying to get at Moon Knight in really weird random ways, just sending villains after him that he doesn't normally have anything to do with, attacking a lot of his old allies and associates, just very asymmetrical in terms of the attack. And found out recently that it is apparently a new Black Spectre, a reoccurring character that he has to deal with. But this version definitely seems a lot more dangerous than the rest.
Yeah.
So the book itself is told in various chapters, each kind of highlighting. It kind of jumps back and forth between Mark now, but also Mark in the past when he was still a mercenary, and how that mission ties into what's going on right now. It's also I believe the first introduction of the Disney Plus character. Blanking on her name right now. How to pronounce it exactly? Just a second. We'll cut this out. Maybe, I don't know. Ask him.
The Scarlet Scarab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Layla. There we go.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. But so it's kind of cutting back and forth between them, seeing how his past, because Mark has always been very much a character defined by his past and how, for better or for worse. There's a great bit in here where someone's just oh, why don't you ever use guns? You think you're better than us for that? And he's just no, because I don't like the person I am when I have a gun in my hand. Because everyone kind of knows to be afraid of Moon Knight. I don't think everyone realizes how afraid they should be.
Right, yeah.
And he definitely shows some people in this why they should be afraid, because it's also, he gets run through a gauntlet of a bunch of other villains he's had to deal with during MacKay's run. I won't say who some of them are because they're fun surprises here and there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an overall celebration of the run so far. Every little piece that's kind of been showing up is is represented in some capacity. Even 8-Ball shows up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. I love the Karnak Cowboys. His mercenary group he used to be a part of, to the point where she's man, I would just read a book by MacKay of these guys. They're just fun. But it's a great showcase of Moon Knight just won't you can hit him as hard as you want. He's not going to stop trying to do what he thinks is right, no matter how much it hurts him and the people around him. Which is also kind of the great tragedy of him, of just people talk about Batman a lot, oh, he can't have peace. He's always got the mission. Moon Knight brings up to another level. Batman does not have the dedication. I feel like Moon Knight does sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
How far he's willing to go.
And now Tigra's even deeper into that whole world.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all turns.
Yeah. Ooh, it's. I mean, there's a reason he tries to keep people not too close.
Right.
And I think they're probably going to learn that at some point.
Yeah.
But. No, it's very good. It's also got a cool little reprint of an old Moon Knight story in here, so that was definitely kind of fun. And the art for both that, the main story, there's a couple different artists working on the main tile, with the flashing back and forth. There's also the main villain of the first arc from the series, Zodiac. He gets a lot of page time in here.
Sure.
And it's very interesting, his reaction to finding out that there's someone else gunning for Moon Knight. He's not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I think at one point he refers to himself as the jealous type. So they're setting up this very weird three-way hate dynamic between these characters.
Yeah.
Where everyone just absolutely hates everyone else in the room, and I'm very curious to see how that goes.
Interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, no, it's great even reading the run. It's a fun little character insight for him if you haven't. It sets up a bunch of stuff going forward. It's also, they've got the new Moon Knight miniseries coming out that will be starring Layla, which is interesting considering where this issue ends with the flashback. So be curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
But speaking of people being tossed into nightmare situations. Patrick.
Yes, well, I picked Dawn of DC Night Terrors, #1. So this whole Dawn of DC concept and Night Terrors. So Night Terrors is the event that's happening title-wide right now. And then Dawn of DC, I don't know, is this like the Jim Lee era? Is that kind of what
it's kind of like their new publishing initiative, kind of similar to like how Infinite Frontier, Rebirth, New 52, like basically kind of like a resettling of the board, like here's kind of like our core direction here. That's why you've got all the cool new Superman titles.
It's not a reboot per se.
No, yeah.
Continuity-wise, they're not changing anything. They're just, it's more of like an editorial or creative direction.
Yeah, it's more, it feels more like it's them like, hey, we've got these cool characters. A bunch of them are ones that we don't get to highlight enough. That's why we get these cool new miniseries with like Doom Patrol or like upcoming with like Hawkgirl and that. So it's like, it's them really want, it's less about like, because, I mean, like, obviously with this, like, there's, like, some threads tying over from stuff on, like, Dark Crisis and, like, Lazarus Plant. But, like, it's very much about, like, we want to just show off how, like, great these characters are, like, how interesting they are together, like, what makes them cool and likable, and just, like, why they are superheroes.
Yeah, so that being the case, this Night Terrors event heavily focused around Deadman. Like, he's a major character. And when we were talking about the books that have already been out that we've read, and then the books that came out this week, we talked about how, you know, Deadman is often just kind of a plot device.
Yeah.
But this is really, you know, fleshing him out as a character. For a guy who has no flesh, I guess that's kind of tough to do. But, you know, I mean, he's literally just a ghost that can't go anywhere and inhabits people. And then he tries to solve mysteries. And this one, the big mystery is the Nightmare Stone. And where did it come from and where is it hidden? And it's been alluded to that they believe that it's hidden in some superhero's dreams at this point. So we get a little more insight into who the bad guy is. Insomnia, I believe, is the character's
creepy
name.
Looking dude.
Very creepy looking. The art in this is gorgeous. This is... So in the number of books that I've read, this fits in really well with the... it was Night Terror's First Blood and Batman were two of the ones that I read last week. And then this ties in directly with all of that stuff. But... For me, I like the fact that this is going to be a pretty short. It's just contained.
July and August.
It's not a giant, sprawling, year-long thing with crossovers constantly happening and massive delays and all that kind of stuff. So it's tightly written. The plot is moving along. We're getting somewhere with it right away. But it's also highlighting characters that DC hasn't done much with lately. Not since New 52. I mean, like these characters.
I mean, like we're getting like, as you can see on the wall here, we've got like a Zatanna miniseries that's going to have like some Doom Patrol people in it. For Shazam, we're getting to have Mary get to like shine instead of Billy because he gets the main title. So it's just like, hey, we had a cool Mary Marvel miniseries last year. Let's get to do more stuff with her.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of similar to Lazarus Plant, where it's just like it's really nice when they get to like show off characters that don't normally get the spotlight, who honestly a lot of times really deserve to get more of that spotlight.
Well, and I think that that's a big opportunity for DC, and they're executing it really well so far. I'm very pleased with the direction that they're going, and it feels like week after week we keep adding more DC titles to our must-reads. We keep talking about like, wow, this really, you know, impressed me. I wasn't expecting this to be quite as good. Doom Patrol, I mean, I was hopeful that it would be great, but that was a lot of fun. The new Green Lantern book, I'm so excited for the new Flash and Wonder Woman titles.
Green Arrow's already been doing great enough that it went from a miniseries to an ongoing.
Shazam has been really good so far. The two World's Finest books have been good. Batman Brave and the Bold was good too. Like, I mean, a lot of the stuff that they're... and I get Batman Brave and the Bold is Batman-centric, but, you know, I mean, they're doing a lot to kind of expand the lineup and get you deeper into this huge stable of characters that they have and give you a little more variety, but they're also tapping a lot of great seems like new talent
Oh,
coming in, and the art and the writing on this was great. I just really liked it. I was unenthusiastic when the previews for Night Terrors started coming out. I was like, oh man, it felt like we were finally getting somewhere with DC, and now we're going to bog it down with an event book, and that just hasn't been the case at all. It's been good. It's right on the heels of Lazarus Planet, but it ties in a little bit in the origin of how this got going, which I think you'll continue to see in a lot of the new books. That's also the impetus for why this slight change in the character or whatever's happening, or why we're picking up the story here. But yeah, it's been really good so far. So keep it going, DC. And I know that I've said this a bunch of times, but the quality of the actual physical book for DC is so far and above everybody else right now.
Like I'm not sure like who they're getting like their paper through or whatever, but like it's good stuff, which is one of those things where like at first like when you first hear it, it's just like, oh, that's weird to be talking about like the quality of like, but it's just like I'm sure as people who are watching this contest, like it does like there's a noticeable like dip in like how you can appreciate something if you're just like afraid you're going to rip the paper by turning it.
Well, if you're buying a physical copy, the tactile interaction with it is a big part of that.
Like you want it to be able to like you want it to not be like just this like flimsy little thing. Like you want it to be able to like you want your bang for your buck.
Yeah, and this is it, and also as a collector, it also feels like this is something worth holding on to too. I don't know. There's just something about it. Their paper's gorgeous. Their printing process is great. The artists and writers that they've been tapping lately, they're just doing so much good right now. I'm just really liking it. And then let's pick another book from DC because we're
Yeah, like you mentioned before, World's Finest. So like that, the main series we've had on here a couple times now from both of us at this point. But this is the new World's Finest Teen Titans series, kind of spinning off from that. They were pretty prominent in like the second arc with Boy Thunder. And yeah, so they were just like, hey, people really like that. Let's do some more with like that version of the team.
Yeah.
And here they also, so you've got like your traditional cast of like Robin, Wonder Girl, Aqualad, Speedy, but they've also added Bumblebee up here. Oh, also Kid Flash. Don't forget Wally. Best Flash.
Yep.
Fight me. But but we also got Bumblebee here, kind of rounding out the team. There's also another member, kind of like their man in the chair, who I was saying to you before, I do not ever expect this character to show up again.
Yeah.
And
deep cut.
Yeah, deep cut, and like them being there, just like, oh, that's actually kind of a neat way to use them because, like, frankly, the reason I never expect them to show up again is just like, who really needs this character? Yeah. But like,
apparently, their social media accounts.
Yeah, and yeah, but so this is them. The team's kind of still like early on. Like we were like talking about like, oh, like where's this kind of place? And like honestly, like this in like the main World's Finest book, like they don't really like slot into like a like clean spot in like the DC canon, and obviously that's by design. It's supposed to be this kind of like nebulous like Silver Age-esque like point in the timeline where like things are like they're a bit more bright, but like dark stuff can still happen. Like the final page of this is just like, oh, someone did not have a good day. Yeah, but I don't know, but it because they're kind of like going for that feel, it allows them to just kind of like tap into these like very like primordial aspects of the character. Like you get to see like a lot of, there's this whole nice montage of them interacting with like their mentor figures and how they view like the whole team situation. And like you get your usual Batman just like being frumpy, like, oh, I don't trust them because they're not as well trained as you.
Yeah.
But you also I love there's a point where like Aquaman's just like, I don't like Robin. It's just like, it's really funny.
Well, that's, a fun classic dynamic, the whole Justice League kind of looking down on the Teen Titans and whatever, and each of them like their mentor in particular, and think that they're probably the best member of the team, but they don't really trust the rest of them, and they're kids, and they're not going to make good decisions and whatever. So there's that, but then there's also the conflict within the team, and we talked about how, there's DC's timeline doesn't make any sense. And it's, there's things that happened and things that haven't happened, and I don't know. So whatever. But the setup for some of this story is that they're at least alluding to things that are major DC events and major Teen Titans events. And now, like, you know, the precursor to that is very interesting, the way that things are being set up. I don't know that that's the direction that they're going to go, but a big part of this book is the inter-team conflict. Yeah.
Well, because, like, one of the things we were also talking about before is just, like, so with the mentor thing, especially the way they depict, like, Speedy and Green Arrow's relationship, it works so well because, like, even if you haven't, like, read their whole history, like, if you're not, like, familiar with their, like, relationship, like, it's just an interesting character dynamic to have, like, that kind of, like, how they view each other and how they interact.
Yeah.
But if you are familiar with that stuff, you immediately have this, like, ticking time bomb in the back of your head, just like, okay, how's the, like, where, like, we kind of know where this has to go. Like, how are we getting there?
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And again, this book is gorgeous. It's written extremely well, and physically, it's just it's a work of art. I really enjoyed it. So we went all superhero this week. Not that there weren't some other good options.
I mean, part of the problem was there was almost too much to pick from.
There's so much. It's such a big week, post-holiday and all of that kind of stuff. But so that does it, right? Let's
special shout out because we sold through these real quick. We do have more copies of Void Rivals.
Yes.
I think we can say, considering the cover, the setup for the new Transformers G.I. Joe.
They're giving it away now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a stealth launch a couple weeks ago, and that was our pick when it came out. So if you weren't able, we sold out very quickly.
Very quick. Yeah. We got that. We got, I think, at least one variant up here, which is a very funny Sesame Street variant.
Yeah. Yeah, so get down here, check out the books. We love talking with everybody, and we love seeing you. So get on down here. If you're not able to get down here, check out our website. You can order stuff from there. Follow us on social media, and be sure to leave comments about what you enjoyed reading this week also, because we love reading those as well. So, and we will be back next week with more Pulp Picks. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
No. Oh, hey, if you're going to need stuff to do when there's no new TV and movies, come read some more comics.
There you go.